it's Bella, and today I'd like to talk to you about the solar eclipse new moon at 10 degrees of Taurus on the 30th of April 2022. This is the first solar eclipse in 2022. There will be a narrow band of visibility across parts of Antarctica, the southern tip of South America, and also the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Solar eclipses happen when the new moon passes in front of the face of the sun from Earth's perspective. Partial solar eclipses, such as this one, occur when the moon blocks only a portion of the solar disk. Now, basically, a solar eclipse is a jacked up new moon that helps to catapult and align us with our destiny path, collectively as well as personally. An eclipse can have effect approximately 6 months prior and post the actual event. It's very potent for most within the 6-week span directly after the event. And in some cases, there can even be an 18-month long effect. Therefore, you can observe how the themes of this eclipse unfolds over the next months and also how energies have led up to it in the last 6 months and even 2 years with this particular one. Currently, we have many planets in strong placements where they like to be, such as the moon exalted in Taurus, Mercury at 0 degrees of Gemini in rulership, Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, exalted at her exaltation degree exactly conjunct Jupiter, her dispositor, also in rulership in Pisces, with also Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, in Pisces, as well as Saturn in rulership in Aquarius. So we have also a powerful conjunction here that's exact with the two benefics in Pisces as well. Of course, we also have the Sun and Taurus putting extra emphasis here. We have the Sun and Moon conjunct Uranus, who does not prefer Taurus as a placement though, and Mars currently trying to swim in the waters of Pisces. Not to forget powerful Pluto, just a day ago turned retrograde and at a powerful 28 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this eclipse is taking place in the nakshatra of Bharani, symbolized by a yoni, the female reproductive organ, which signifies creativity, sexuality, and the cycle of birth and death, just like the womb. Now, the Bharani nakshatra is a sacred place of nurturing and growth with the power to quickly manifest. Bharani emphasizes extremes in nature, exploring any direction it chooses, whether that's pure or sinful, which is the nature of this eclipse. For some, it could feel more disturbing in creating change, especially those with more fixed energy in their charts. For others, it can be more exciting. But an eclipse involving Uranus ushers in change, whether we like it or not. And we have a lot of change, especially with Uranus by itself is very much change and shocks and can be destabilizing, especially in a sign like Taurus that likes stabilization and likes security and knowing what's coming, where Uranus turns things around and shakes things up. It's electric, it's electrifying, it brings surprises and sudden upsets or turnarounds, and that's also the nature of most eclipses. So we are in for many surprises. So Look where 10 degrees of Taurus falls in your chart. This is the house where you may have been going through quite some changes and growing pains in the last 2 years. And if you have any planets in Taurus or any of the fixed signs, as in Scorpio, Leo, or Aquarius, you could be feeling this quite strongly. People that have Pluto in their natal charts in cardinal signs can also be feeling this quite potently. If you've got planets in Pisces, personal planets, but especially look at your fixed houses for this. This is the house, the Taurus house, is the house for a new beginning, where you want to set a new intention, or where you will be experiencing great change through this eclipse activation. This is also influenced by all the other energies. So there's elements of sacrifice, there's elements of love and things dissolving, things healing or separating in areas of Pisces, toxicity that's being let go of in the Scorpio house. The Taurus house is the area for change, a new intention, more freedom. So you may be experiencing many disruptions in this house as well. This is an area where you may be drawn to go back to what is comfortable, but intuitively you know it's time to step out of your comfort zone into freedom and independence in this area, to step out of what you're used to and what may have been become complacent and an area of stagnation. So there's an area, an element of taking a chance, jumping off a cliff, so to speak, or if you're not willing to make these changes that you intuitively know needs to be made. Eclipses have a way of making things happen for you, which can be uncomfortable at times if you're not willing to take the reins yourself. With Uranus here, there can be, like I said, unexpected surprises, shocks, also opportunities or little earthquakes in this area of life. But it is ultimately moving you in the direction that is for your best and highest good, even if it doesn't feel that way at first. But most of us have been experiencing quite a bit of growing pains in this area. So you know exactly, almost, like I said, intuitively, what the message of this eclipse is bringing. But in some cases, maybe you've been slightly off track, and this eclipse will bring in the message that you will definitely hear loud and clear. Now, eclipses can move us in big ways and make huge jumps where we may not have seen a way before, because they can act like a wild card. Saturn is squaring the nodes, and this usually can correspond to reality checks, a choice point between the past and the future, between extremes, between letting go and moving into growth, or holding on and staying stuck. Because Taurus energy can be an energy that wants to keep going, wants to hold on, wants has that determination, and can be stubborn at times in regards to change because of an underlying fear of loss of control and loss of security. Now, this can be a difficult decision that needs to be made or carry some weight and responsibility. It can contain challenges that involve time or setbacks and restrictions in order to move around. But this is where we need to step into our power, as the changes is ultimately building our foundation for the long term. What we do and decide now is very important. Now, Pluto retrograde the day just before this eclipse and also the South Node in Scorpio, we will be seeing much more secrets and underground activities being exposed going forward over the next months, involving powerful people, money, sex, and death. Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn is restructuring top-down power and has been showing us much power plays and abuse of power and manipulation, not only worldwide, but also in the Capricorn house in your chart, and certain relationships in our lives as well. And where Pluto is concerned, we're also dealing with topics such as money, power, inheritances, sexuality, underground activities, corruption, and so forth. Now, collectively, we can be experiencing power outages, solar flares, internet issues, cyber attacks, financial system changes, digital currency topics, new technologies, travel, disease and health, new developments in the religious spheres, oil and gas affected, supply chains, food production, the earth and earth events and the environment, water contamination possibilities, intense weather, storms, rain and seismic events. The Pisces energy can also issue in topics of mass distribution of pharmaceuticals and financials connected to medicine, sponsors, refugees, and more of a unity consciousness and compassion. There's also the possibility of deception in regards to freedom, sacrificing real freedom for false freedom in the bounds of unseen control, certain measures of exchange in order to have more countries relax restrictions. But in order for that, there's an exchange. There's an exchange of real freedom for false freedom in some cases. There is a nutritional aspect with Pisces energy, or womb-like protection and preparation before birth. We're dealing with a lot of past patterning, emotional things that can come up. There can be quite a lot of emotional issues coming up. Also with Pluto retrograde now, a lot of things are coming up for us to deal with, coming to the surface. The truth is being exposed. And with Venus conjunct Jupiter exact during the eclipse, there is a grace and a holding space for us from God throughout all these disruptions and possible uncomfortable changes, or for some it can be more exciting, but I have to be realistic that for some this can be quite uncomfortable, especially because this is in a sign that likes security and knowingness. There can also be an element of sacrifice and putting others' needs before your own, but without being manipulated, and keeping your boundaries. Very, very important. For some, this can be a very romantic time. This is basically considered the most romantic day, probably for years, probably this decade. The stellium in Pisces can be dreamy, and you may want to lose yourself a bit in some good music. It's very important now to avoid abusing food or drugs or alcohol in order to escape that which you may not want to confront. Remember that in order to change your life, you need to confront that which needs to change. Even though much of these changes can bring in nervous tension and restlessness for some, you can sometimes see people that suffer from epilepsy, can maybe have a bit of an issue with something like that popping up again, or being activated in some way. But ultimately, the Pisces energy brings in intuitive guidance, a portal for direct and powerful prayer and spiritual support. This eclipse is about changing your physical reality and making something real. It's got to do with dreams and goals and reality and letting things go that no longer work, whilst keeping in mind that true security comes from within and is not an outside force, circumstance, job, or person. Eclipses align us with our purpose and destiny, and sometimes chaotically or suddenly help us to shift direction into our path, especially with Uranus involved. And as the eclipses are on the Taurus-Scorpio axis, the energy upgrades are only getting started, as we'll have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio in May, and we'll have 2 more eclipses later this year. Remember that the initial changes can seem unusual or different from what you're used to, which is maybe where the fear comes in, because it's the fear of the unknown, or how you used to do something. And this is actually good. This is where you know you're on the right track, because this is a breaking patterns eclipse in order to eventually stabilize, because this can be very unstable, feeling of instability and destabilizing us in some way, in order for us to get grounded eventually. But the grounding really needs to come here from within. This is what this message is for you. Where is your faith? And where is your inner security at this time? Since Uranus moved into Taurus, our values have been changing, and the major decisions now can bring you to a point to what you no longer want to carry or bear or give time and pain to. You may want to ask yourself, what is no longer good for me? What do I value now? How has my values changed? And what no longer serves me? This can be as simple as what you feed yourself, your look, your relationships. It can be your job, where you live, your health, to how you measure your self-worth. We're on God's timing here, so flow with it. Fighting it will only produce pain. Be in your truth. Speak your truth. Be honest with yourself. This is a time of honesty and trusting that you're being guided to the direction you're supposed to go, even if it doesn't necessarily feel that way at first. And put your faith in God so that the outside world cannot shake you. And remember that we're here as spiritual beings having an earthly experience. And there's really no destination here. We are going through each and every person individually is going through their own life experiences and lessons and journey. We cannot force people to be on the same page we are, or at the same chapter in the book that we are. We each grow and develop at our own rate and when we're ready for it. And we all come from a certain place, and every experience is valuable, whether it's painful, whether it's joyful, whether it's love or rejection. And that you always want to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And how can I become more whole as a human being in order for me to be a blessing to others as well, and be less expectation conscious and more just wanting the best for yourself as well as others, and living in wholeness. You also want to become aware that the sensitive organs during this time can be the throat, the thyroid, the larynx, the heart, the lymphatic system. Avoiding excess sugar is very important, and surgical operations are not recommended during a lunar eclipse, or a solar eclipse or a new or full moon. So please do consult your physician, as this is not medical advice. I'd also like to read to you the inside degrees for 10 Taurus. It's a man exhaling clouds of iridescent smoke, having something to say, a lot to show for your efforts, bringing through archetypal realizations, and giving yourself over to all that this involves. The perfect instrument for something new to be revealed, selfless service, obedient to the gods. Played through by visions, pictures, images, impressions that gather to form breathtaking wholes. Someone who has worked upon this faculty for a long time, and now it is quintessentially ripe. You feel the tremendous surging momentum to say it, to name it, evoke the spirit, what needs to be seen. When dazzling gifts are in the works, the destiny is already written in the book of life. It is simply a matter of getting out of the way, paying attention, becoming exceedingly disciplined, and then gathering a fresh synthesis for the many to recognize themselves, reflected with transparent, evocative accuracy. A perfect portraiture, direct for nature's workshop, cooked up for the occasion. So really ask yourself, what no longer serves me? Where is my inner security? Where is my security coming from? What are my values now? And be willing to embrace life and whatever comes up for you at this time, because it is divine intervention and it is ultimately for your highest good. Whether it's painful or not, it's part of the human experience, and we need to start seeing it more as an adventure and a journey than something specific that we need to attain. I'd also like to read to you 1 Corinthians 13, the New King James Version. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or clanging cymbal, resounding in the wind. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and can understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I give all I possess to the poor, and surrender my body to the flames, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, and thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never fails, but whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. And now abide faith, hope, love. These three. But the greatest of these is love. Also check out my rising sign videos for 2022. They have the 2022 astrology forecasts. They're about 90 minutes each on my channel. I also go over where the eclipses fall for each rising sign and how it may affect you. Also, it's basically all the eclipses for the year. And may the sun shine bright on you this day. May there be blessings coming your way. Until next time. Bye-bye.